and your life.
Champion of Women in STEM. So that's why I really love supporting Startup Canada and Startup Live and all their great initiatives across the country, because they are the national and rallying community voice for Canadian entrepreneurship.
Hello everyone, my name is Media Sheikh Hassan. I work with Startup Canada because they offer great resources for many young entrepreneurs like myself. We're live here at Startup Canada national offices, broadcasting from cubicles, co-working spaces, and incubators and startup community across Canada.
And you know, every Thursday we have Startup Canada Live here, and you can find us. I'll tell you where we're going to find us in a second. But we discuss topics that are relevant to Canada's startup community, scaling up, funding, you name it, everything that a small business needs. And we feature expert guests like the ones we're going to introduce you to in just a moment, that will give you insights into growing and scaling your ventures.
Today's Startup Live topic is technology trend to stay ahead. We're joined by two very special guests. Our first guest today's episode is Nunzio Presta, joining us from Toronto. He's the founder and the CEO of BizOn. Nunzio is a digital marketer and author, and a frequent valued guest on hashtag Startup Chat episodes every Wednesday, I believe. Also on today's episode is Nicholas Din, the VP Mobile Payment at Mastercard Canada. Nicholas works to bring mobile payment into the mainstream traditional plastic cards to evolve into digital commerce. Welcome to you both.
Good afternoon.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Now, Startup Canada Live is streamed through Periscope and Facebook Live for easy viewing, or through our really good friends at Restream.io. And we've got some amazing sponsors. Our first one is brought to you by Intuit QuickBooks, Canada's leading provider of business, financial, and tax management solutions for the small and medium enterprises. And, of course, we can't forget Mastercard, whether you need card for purchases or you need payment solutions to help you better manage and track your expenses. Mastercard is the right solution for your small business. Now, let's get started. So for those of you tuning in, you can ask questions at any time, and we'll take questions at the end. But go ahead and get them in as the stream of consciousness happens, so that we can get to all of the questions that come in. You can do that by tuning into Startup Live hashtag, so hashtag Startup Live on Twitter, or by commenting below the Facebook Live video.
So before we get into the main topic, we just want to play a little bit of an icebreaker game. So it's a question for our both guests and also for us, the host in the studio. What is the most interesting thing that you have done in the past 24 hours that is not work-related?
Oh.
Yeah, I guess I'll start. This is actually a tough question. Reason why is because I have a 1-year-old son. So I think the interesting thing in the last 48 hours that has happened to me has been the fact that I'm running off maybe a couple hours of sleep. He's going through some teething. So, the other night he was waking up every half an hour, so I would have to hug him and make sure he felt better. But other than that, on a business note, I listened into Snapchat's first quarter earnings call yesterday, and that was pretty interesting, especially because it was their first ever. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question. I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Nunzio. I have a 4-year-old and 2-year-old at home, so.
Oh no, we lost Nick.
Are we losing David?
Can we get him back?
Nicholas is.
Lydia, why don't we go to you and we can talk about what we've done in the last 8 hours, and we'll get
I finally ended up actually assembling the last piece of furniture for the new house. So that's out of the way. What about you?
Awesome. Well, I started my 3rd axe throwing league, so we went axe throwing the other day, and
that's fun.
Gets all those frustrations out.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Okay. Great. So why don't we get started with the next question. So Nunzio, you are the founder and CEO of BizOn. Tell us a little bit about the platform and what your role is in the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So BizOn, I guess to paint the picture, we're sort of like Gigi married LinkedIn, and BizOn was their child. So It's an online marketplace where people can buy and sell and even grow businesses and franchises. We aim to provide, rich features and functionality, such as our dynamic search and list experiences, our resources, so users can find perks, tips, and tools and support along that journey of buying, selling, or growing. But from a bird's eye view, what we're doing a great job at is attracting and connecting really engaged users that believe in the power of entrepreneurship, that believe in the power of being a business owner, and we're just having a ton of fun. To date we have close to, I think, over now 5,000 users, and we're just pleased that we're providing a product that people value and that people are using day to day. As far as my role, I'm just guiding that ship into the right direction, trying to make the right strategic decisions as quickly and as thoroughly as possible, just to make sure I help Bizon grow, scale, and offer the most valuable services that our users expect. For us right now, what's key is to continue the momentum and just continue moving forward.
Oh, that's amazing. So, in your opinion, what are the 3 most important things that entrepreneurs in the field of technology entrepreneurship they should know about, and how it can affect their businesses?
Yeah, I think as a business owner and entrepreneur, you need to ensure you're doing everything in your power to accurately leverage tech trends, social trends, economic trends, just to make sure it helps you grow your business and service your clients and meet expectations. Now, not every trend is critical to every business, but I would say the top 3 trends that are definitely demanding the most attention right now would be augmented reality. I don't know if anyone's watched Mark Zuckerberg's F8 keynote presentation, but he mentioned, his vision for AR and the value behind it, and the elimination of screens and the enhancement of glasses. So it's obvious that right now, the camera is centered to a lot of strategies. So they're calling it a camera strategy approach. And that's being prioritized just as much as search and social strategies were prioritized. And it kind of makes sense now looking back at it. A lot of people were wondering when Snapchat basically announced that they were going to be public, why they basically were IPOing as a camera company. And I think they were really pioneered the approach of being camera centric and camera and having that camera strategy. So I think as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you can definitely predict where opportunities can come from in this area. Another thing is machine learning. So just the approach of having maximum convenience. An example of that would be Amazon Go. How they're coupling machine learning with sensor fusion technology and computer vision, basically to disrupt the grocery shopping experience. Meaning that how they're trying to maximize convenience is someone walks in, they pick up a product. They may put the product back on the shelf, or they may put it in their basket, and then basically they just walk out, and everything is done. So there's technology behind it to know if that customer picked an item up, if they put it back, if they put it in their basket, and when they walked out, the payment was processed and everything's convenient, and there's a receipt in your inbox. So once again, that's another tech trend that I would keep an eye on. And then lastly, for me, is the third one is connectivity. So more and more people are moving away from the traditional 9 to 5. Not a lot of people are desk workers anymore, and there's definitely an increase in mobile workers. So I believe being connected will become more and more important as owners, employers, clients, suppliers. They'll all need more robust access to whether it's SMS or email or call or video chat to ensure that productivity is never affected, especially in global areas where there's dark zones. So I see a lot of interesting plays happening in all 3 of those areas moving forward.
That's awesome. Now, you're working in a really exciting industry, and Nunzio, you've been doing this for a while, but how would you describe a day in the life at Bizon, for example, and how do you see the roles in the company evolving with these technology trends?
Yeah, so I think, Bizon was born in the digital era. So for our startup, we're everything has been a digital approach, a digital first approach. Generally, the business for sale and franchise for sale space, is ancient, if that's appropriate to say. There hasn't been really any disruption in technology, and there hasn't really been, any fire under any other competitors, butts to get moving. It's a very comfortable and old space. So as far as, Bizon's approach being digital first, everything we do has tech in mind and digital in mind in order to ensure that, we're connecting with users that are extremely serious about buying or selling a business. They're extremely serious about being a business owner or being an entrepreneur. And what we want to do as far as being digital first is just making sure that we collect as much data and good data and analytics to make sure that when we are making connections between buyers and sellers, that those connections are extremely qualified in order to increase the success of a purchase and sale happening. And right now, because we were born in that digital era and we're digital first, everything from the beginning when we started Bizon has been that goal to make sure that we're consolidating quality data to make sure that our user experience is extremely positive and extremely valuable for both sides of the party. As far as roles, when we have people that work with us at Bizon, having some sort of digital background, is not, it's nice if you would have it. It's more, it's probably more mandatory that you have it. So we definitely look for tech savvy individuals, whether, they're in IT or business development or sales or customer service. We definitely want people to be tech savvy because we are, a digital first marketplace.
That's amazing. Thank you. What technology tools do you think that entrepreneurs on budget they can use to improve their businesses?
So I think, that's a good question. So I think engaging, in the simplest forms of artificial intelligence is a start. Examples would be chatbots. They could really streamline customer service. They could streamline sales. Chatbots can influence the buying decisions, simplify payments, boost social engagement, and increase the efficiencies in just other areas of your business that could, other areas that could really bog down a business owner that's, that is basically focused on building the business up and finding, clients. So a prime example of this would be, I would recommend a lot of entrepreneurs to see how you could integrate some sort of chatbot into your business in order to streamline those functions of your business, and even look into Facebook Messenger and see how you can leverage that.
Awesome. Let's talk about automation for a moment and how you automate processes and or use technology to automate process in the front of the house, but also in the back of the house, and how you can do that. And you mentioned chatbots. How can you do that while still being human for your customers?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question because at the end of the day, there has to always be a genuine approach to how you automate, your business functions. And for us, I guess to step back a bit, we automate our business in pretty much three ways. One is our email funnels. The other is internal marketing. and the other is recommendations. So when it comes to email funnels, the way we automate that is if we have a subscriber join our newsletter, there's a series of insightful, value-packed emails that they'll receive in order to bring them up to speed with, how they can leverage BizOn and the benefits of our marketplace. And then from, an automated remarketing perspective, we do a great job at making sure that once a user signs up to join our marketplace, certain actions they take in the BizOn marketplace triggers a series of communication. Whether it's they created a listing and now it's in draft, but they forgot to close out that listing, they'll get an email a day or two later saying, hey, you have a draft, why don't you finish it? And that really helps us, increase sales and close our clients in order to convert them into revenue. Or if someone connects with a listing, we'll have an automated series of communication to say, hey, how did the connection go? What was good? What was bad? Do you have any recommendations on how we can make that process better? And the last thing that we automate on the back end is recommendations. So by analyzing our users' behaviors, we can recommend businesses or franchises they may be interested in. And I guess my roadmap for that is basically because we are a digital first marketplace. I want to definitely look into how we can make those connections even better on a granular level. Like for example, if a user was a mother with 3 kids and what business would be suitable for her lifestyle, right? So we really want to get into how can we make connections as qualified as possible. But I think the main goal with automation overall is just, and I think this is touching back on the genuine piece. I think it starts with, how you collect data, how you analyze your data from the get-go. It's extremely important to have clean and targeted data, just so that communication is genuine and adds value to that receiver or creates a positive experience. Because what's happening now is, a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs may get the urge to go towards growth hacking, which isn't sustainable, because what happens there is you have a lot of people that are there, but the engagement is low, and a lot of the times communication isn't as genuine as it should be. But I think overall automation is great. It allows everyone to increase retention, and for us it allows us to stay top of mind, especially in a world where there's so much noise, and it allows our users to stay on our marketplace longer.
Well, thank you so much. Nicholas, are you back with us?
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
Okay.
Welcome back.
So Nicholas, you work in...
We're having some
no problem.
We're having some technical challenges on our side, so
No
quite
problem.
ironic that on a call on a panel that discusses tech trends, we run into some tech problems right off the bat. So apologies for that.
Real life
go,
application.
Right? The irony.
So Nicholas, you work in a very exciting sort of field where trends are always changing and they impact our daily life. How do you see your role evolve in the next few years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think right now, my job is really to build or preempt the change in consumer behavior, right? So today people, they still use cash to pay, they still use plastic cards to pay. But in our view, within the next 3 to 5 years, people will start to go completely digital. It's like people don't want to carry, their wallets around anymore. People don't want to carry coins and cash around anymore. So part of my role is very strategic in nature. It's looking down 3 to 5 years down the road. And so we're at a point now where we're just building out the technology, we're building out the solutions, we're putting the piping, the infrastructure in place. The goal is that in 3 to 5 years, as we predict the changing of consumer behavior, we'll be there and we'll be providing these services and solutions to cardholders and consumers. So, in time, I kind of think about my job, it's really to build and to stand something up, as well as to see interest in mobile payments and mobile commerce and digital commerce in general. in 3 to 5 years, my hope, or at least people around here at Mastercard, our hope is that consumers truly embrace the technology. It becomes something that's simple, easy to use, that's convenient, and the value proposition of it is so undeniable that people will embrace it. And so I think that in 3 to 5 years, rather than having to build or to stand up infrastructure, it's more around how do we our business, how do we accommodate for all these transactions flowing through these systems. So it's more of a role where we need we'll look at optimizing or improving the experience rather than building from ground. So that's what I see my role evolving into. Like I recently moved into a slightly different role. I'm in a global group, so I actually deal with different markets across the world, from Asia Pacific to Latin America. And so we definitely see that every market has its own kind of nuances, their own consumer behaviors, but we do see like a common trend where consumers are embracing and adopting technology, and businesses are looking to be there to serve that base of consumers that embrace technology.
That's great. Now, what are some of the challenges that new entrepreneurs or startups will face when they're adopting technologies? And what are some of the barriers that will prevent them from using some of the latest and greatest?
I think that's it's an interesting question, right? So I think first of all, for businesses, using technology for the sake of using technology is not always the greatest idea. I think technology is great if it's fit for purpose, if there's value for the business. So I think as an entrepreneur, one thing that you definitely need to do is just do the due diligence and do the research, right? Understand what your needs are, what the gaps are, and then go in and kind of evaluate what technologies are out there and what is the one that meets your needs, that's suitable to you as a business. I think when we look at technologies now, I think, I was an early employee at a startup, Virgin Mobile Canada. This was about 10, 11 years ago. And at that time, we were trying our first mobile virtual network operator to compete against traditional carriers, traditional telcos. And it was a very capital-intensive type of technology development that we had to do. So imagine we had to go and find co-location hosting space. We had to go and buy servers and server racks and switches and routers. And it cost millions and millions of dollars to stand up that infrastructure. So, 10, 15 years ago, it was very expensive. But now as we start moving towards cloud-based solutions, cloud-based services, platforms as a service, software as a service, these things become more attainable, more accessible to your everyday entrepreneur. So imagine if you can outsource all this heavy lifting and be able to use an Amazon Web Service or use Azure to host your infrastructure. It becomes more and more easy for the entrepreneur. So I'd say that first of all, the reason why sometimes technology seems out of grasp or impossible to attain is it's not really cost. It's just truly understanding what the benefits are and how you could utilize it and incorporate the technology into your business.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I couldn't agree more with Nick. He's bang on with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go another direction and get a little bit more granular when talking about what I think is stopping entrepreneurs from using the best and latest technology. And I think it's as simple as just saying it's the fear of the unknown. For example, many people think it may be harder than it is, or it may be more expensive, or they just have a lack of willingness to learn and try something so different and new. I think as an entrepreneur, you always have to be curious. You always have to learn different and new things in order to adjust to the market's expectations. And I think a prime example of that is what Jeff Bezos famously says, and he said it in a shareholders meeting, I believe, and he basically said, bet on the future, because if you don't, you're going to lose. So I think a recent example of this would be, a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs scratching their heads and wondering, why is our traffic down? Why is our overall digital engagement on a decline? And it's due to, and this is very simple, it's due to the fact that they don't have a website that's mobile friendly. And they didn't believe that there would be a massive impact with not doing that. So I guess my answer would be, to overcome that fear of the unknown and actually just jump in and learn about these new technologies. And then, like Nick said, learn about the benefits. Can they fit? Do they fit with your business plan and your vision? Some are mandatory, some are not. But I think it's, just having that willingness to learn about these new tech trends, that are presented.
Just a follow-up question on that. Since we live in a sort of technology-driven community, how do businesses kind of limit their focus into what's actually going to be helpful to a business? So some technology trend might apply to specific business, but not to the other one. So how could entrepreneurs kind of stay focused on the trends that actually works with them, rather than just diverting their focus into too many trends?
Yeah, so for me, it's as I'm a simple guy. So for me, it's as easy as writing down pros and cons to that trend, and keeping a couple things in mind. For example, what's the benefit to my employees? What's the benefit to my customers? And if those pros outweigh the cons, then you could have that. You can make that decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess to add on to Nuncio's comments, again, like the entrepreneur would need to understand their business, right? So understand what the needs are, what their gaps are, what are things that they could address and improve upon, right? So really having a deep understanding of their business, and then going out to source whatever technology is available, right? So sourcing means I could have a gap in terms of my customer servicing or clienteling. What do I need to put in place to improve that? Well, whether it's going out there to, let's say outsource some of your call center needs, or to install or to implement chatbots, AI-powered chatbots to provide better clienteling or servicing. All those technologies are out there, right? There's so many technologies out there. Part of it is also doing that research that Nuncio talked about. It's understanding what I truly need, understanding my customers best, knowing that my customers will typically just call me or call a number rather than going online to a messaging app to ask for questions. So knowing your customers will help you choose and curate and select the best technology for your needs, I'd say.
Absolutely. And I think, just to add something very small to that, if I actually promise everyone listening, if you invest the time in learning and basically understanding, how you can make your business more efficient and the benefits to, either clients or your employees, I guarantee you, all these big tech trends or social trends, they won't look as scary, and the floodgates will open with creativity and possibilities. I could promise you that.
And I think this applies to both the tech savvy and the non-tech people, right? So
exactly.
I know, like, for the non-tech people, I think it could be very daunting looking at technology, and likewise for tech savvy people who've been involved in technology or in this industry for a long time, they may be intent or set in their ways. So some technology trends that are cropping up may seem like, hey, like, do I truly need this? It's just what I'm comfortable with. It gets me out of my comfort zone. And so for even those people, they need to kind of spend some time and evaluate the technologies out there and not be afraid of the unknown. Like Nancy said, like a lot of us are afraid of new things, even though we've been trained or we've been working in a space that continually evolves and changes. I think we, part of it is just saying, I need to spend some time and just need to kind of get as much information as I can, and then go out there and try to learn as much as I can. And part of it is just getting over the initial fears. Yeah,
eliminate that comfy chair syndrome, right?
Yeah, everyone loves a comfortable chair to sit in. No one wants to get off from that and walk around and explore, right? So it's just getting out of that syndrome.
Exactly. You know what? Just as a side note, I don't want to get off track, but that whole comment about exploring, I had the privilege years ago to meet Harry Rosen, and I simply asked him, how does he approach identifying trends or understanding, what customers want in his stores and whatnot. And I think he's 80 plus. His answer was so simple, but I think it was so powerful. And he said, explore, walk the streets. He says, I go to New York City, a couple times a year, and I just walk and I explore. And I think that's a great way, at a simple level to identify possible trends.
And what are some of the ways that you guys stay on top of technology? What events do you go to? What accounts do you follow or recommend following? Or what sites do you visit? Because you guys are pretty tech savvy, and for your business, you absolutely need to be on top of what's out there technology-wise. So what do you guys do?
I can say that, so my day is quite busy. I think I missed the icebreaker piece, but I actually have a 4-year-old and 2-year-old at home. So between work, between my personal life, my kids, my wife is actually doing her CPA and her chartered accounting degree right now. So there's not a lot of time in the day to just sit down and just consume content, read articles, read blogs. So how I typically distill all this is on Twitter and on LinkedIn, I have a few people that I follow that really are great at curating content that really intersect with what I do for a living, right? So for example, my brother, who's kind of in the fintech banking space, I don't know how he finds the time, because he has 2 young kids as well, but he kind of curates all this content and he posts it on Facebook and LinkedIn. And really, for me, just to follow him, I'm able to get a good dose of technology information, technology trends. So people that typically with the same common interest will sometimes post a lot of very interesting articles and facts and nuggets that you need to consume to stay abreast with the current trends. And so I'm going to plug him. So his Twitter handle is Do Android Stream. So if you follow him, you'll probably get a lot of news and information that you can consume and utilize in your day-to-day.
Yeah, that's great. For me, I really don't look at this as finding a quick and easy way to or efficient way to stay up to date. I think what you have to, it's like working out. If you don't prioritize it and make it part of your day in some sort of routine, you may not do it. And for me, I think you need to really invest in yourself. For example, I like to invest about 60 minutes a day to read books or read newsletters. I usually subscribe to a lot of newsletters that I believe provide me with trends or content that I value. Sources like Inc. or Forbes or TechCrunch, and in my opinion, I think the other thing, like Nick indirectly mentioned, was following a mentor, a true leader. That can provide you with valuable insights on innovation or technology or marketing or just general business practices. And another thing I actually like to do, I've probably been doing this for the last year and a half, is I like to follow stocks and reports through Seeking Alpha. There's a ton of analysts that share valuable content on how these big companies are thinking and where they plan to put their resources. So it definitely helps provide me with an outlook on what to pay attention to.
It's amazing. Just a follow-up question to that. Is there any other trends that you kind of follow that are not related to technology, but they kind of impact technology in one way or another, or help you understand the technology trend that's happening?
I guess I could. You want me to? I'll give you my answer. Yeah, I'll give you my answer because it's really quick, and I think I mentioned it before. I think it's the disappearance of the 9-to-5 and the increase of mobile workers. I think that's not a tech trend, but that is a trend that definitely will have an impact on technology.
Thank you. What about you, Nicholas?
I'm gonna have to give this some thought, but I think when it just comes to like, consumer day-to-day lives, like you said, like socially, people have kind of changed the way they interact, socialize, and really just understanding people's behavior is something to stay attuned to. So knowing, like Nuncio mentioned, like kind of the 9 to 5 day is no longer the 9 to 5 day. The workforce is completely remote and mobile now. Like I mentioned, I'm part of a global team, and I'm the only person in this office here in Toronto. My entire is kind of spread across the world, right? So I have colleagues who I work with directly in New York, in Dublin, or in London. So really, the fact that now we're working together, but we're across the world from each other, gives rise to some different trends. So like in the morning, for example, I'll wake up at around 5:30, and the first thing I do is go onto my phone, my laptop, and I get 20, 30 emails waiting for me to respond to, because there's been something that I need to address that occurred in Europe or in Asia. So just understand that trend, and then again, my day is so busy that I need to ready to drop them off, right to work. Then there's another phase of work that I need to do to build issues or any concerns or things that come up during that North American market hours. So like really the behavior in everyone's everyday life has changed, and that will definitely have an implication to how technology is being consumed.
And what is the one technology you can't live without? So if we decided to take that technology away from you today, right now, how would it impact your day?
My phone. And I think I would say like 99.9% of people have to say their phone. That's the center of your day. Like for me, I've written, many blogs about, how my calendar app is, the center of my day, and strategically as well. It's my checklist. It gets me going. It gets me on track. It keeps me productive. I definitely, if I didn't have my smartphone, it would be total chaos. So I think that's the one piece I could not live with, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like my phone is the first thing I look at in the morning when I wake up, and it's the last thing I look at before I go to bed. So
it should be our wives. It should be our wives.
and we get in trouble for that, for sure.
Totally.
But like my phone, like with all my tech gadgets, sometimes I run into technical challenges and difficulties, and I think about a month ago, my phone went haywire. I had to get it kind of reflashed and reset up. But my phone was dead for probably like 8 or 9 hours, and I felt like totally I was so like uneasy with that. It was just as if I was addicted to something and I didn't have it, and I needed my hit. So it's really truly an addiction that is, I think it affects all of us. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's just myself and Nuncio. Everyone has this addiction to the phone.
Yeah, and I think when I guess what I want to kind of define too, when you say addiction, I think it's there's an addiction, but I don't think it's a negative thing. I think it's just the way that life is moving forward, and I think with anything there has to be balance and there has to be discipline, right? Yeah, I would say I'm positively addicted to my smartphone.
It's a positive form of addiction, so that's good. I believe we have a Twitter question. So, what parts of my business can I use robots for without becoming too automated? Oh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm. So, like I can talk about like certain things that we at Mastercard are testing out. So we tested out an AI chatbot, and really the function of it was to allow a user, a cardholder, to be able to ask simple questions about their cards, right? So, what did I spend yesterday? What do I owe? When is the next? When do I need to make my payment? So these are simple tasks that essentially could be replaced by chatbots. So instead of having someone log into your online banking or mobile banking, you can actually expose an interface through Messenger or through WhatsApp or through SMS. And essentially, the chatbot automates that whole experience, or just really is an easy way for a cardholder to get some really kind of, I wouldn't say trivial, but information need, without having to go through a login process. So I think for certain simple questions that, for example, if you have a business and you're providing customer service, and there are things that you think you can automate and you can take out the hands of, say, a CSR or a sales rep, or, for example, let's say your online or mobile properties, and you could put it into, let's say, a messaging channel, then that's something that you should explore. I think it's something that is one of the tech trends that are emerging out there, and every business out there that has a base of customers are looking to help, or look to do this, to simplify, facilitate, and to improve customer servicing.
Yeah, so I would have answered that the exact same way. The only thing I'll add to it is, you want to definitely look at your business and select the thing that doesn't need a human approach and that has predefined data. For example, kudos to Facebook for doing this, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners can implement, something sort of the same. But for example, when you advertise with Facebook, when your ad is done, there's a chat bot through Messenger that basically notifies you that, hey, your ad is done. Would you like to see how it performed? Click yes or no. You click yes, and then data is given to you. Would you like to see that broken down into more information? Yes, and it gives you more information. Would you like to renew? Yes or no. So that was, that's a perfect example of streamlining something that doesn't really need a human approach and something that has predefined data, so that, there really can't be any, miscommunication, because it's literally pulling data from a database. And then it's also allowing, the business owner to generate more sales. So I think that's a cool strategy that a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs can implement.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I had a very amazing experience with a direct-to-consumer shoe retailer. They're called Greats, and so I had ordered a couple pair of shoes online, and as soon as I put the order in, I get a message over Messenger saying, "Thank you for putting this order for these shoes. This is the order number. We're in the process of fulfilling them. Once they get shipped, we'll let you know over Messenger." And today they were shipped, and they sent me a note, "Hey, guess what? We're upgrading you to 2-day FedEx delivery. Here's a map of the actual kind of delivery path." So they actually, give me an indication of where my product is in the entire fulfillment process. And if I had any questions, I would just have to reply back to say, "Hey, can you give me an update on this order?" And someone would respond back to it. So it's really a great way to kind of close that loop in terms of the cycle, the purchasing life cycle. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you purchase something now, you're given reassurances that it's on its way. And if you do have any questions in the future, you can just quickly go back to that chat window and ask questions. So really a cool and neat implementation of using chatbots and messaging.
Definitely sounds like a really good customer experience there. That's excellent. If anyone is watching us on, and we know they are, on Facebook, go ahead and ask your question by tagging Startup Live, hashtag Startup Live. And if you have any questions for our panel and you are on Twitter, do the same thing. So hashtag Startup Live, send in your question and we will answer it live for you. Do we have any other Twitter questions? Yes, we do. Rochelle asks, what advice do you have for those who aren't tech savvy who want to use technology for their business?
So coming from the simple man here, learn, right? Jump into it and learn, like just, and immerse yourself into, reading articles from credible sources about tech trends and just, identify which tech trends will add massive value to your employees or your clients and learn it inside out, learn it to the point where you're an expert with that tech. And you could easily, implement it into your business.
And I would also say, surround yourself with people who are good at tech as well, right? So I think if you're not tech savvy and you want to integrate technology into your business, find employees who are good at technology, or find a partner who could help you with that, or even find a mentor So Nuncio mentioned, find yourself a mentor who can help you with certain things, who's willing to spend and invest their time in helping you out. So I'd say that would be another tactic.
Yeah.
It's amazing, thank you. I believe we do have one more question. For startups on budget, what are the 3 must-use tech tools? The must-use technology tools. That's a good question. Yeah.
For budgeting?
No, I could go for that one. So the question was for entrepreneurs on a budget, what are the top 3 tech tools?
Yep.
I would say definitely your smartphone, social media, and I think I'm going to go with chatbots. I think that's been kind of the center of this conversation, but implementing something like Facebook Messenger and getting that API to integrate with your business it doesn't cost anything. So I would break it down in those 3.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a different payments kind of perspective on it. So, if you're running a business and you're trying to make money, you need to figure out payment partners that will help you do that. And so, being able to accept electronic payments is critical. Card payments is critical. So work with a partner who can offer you a low-cost solution that is connected to your smartphone, right? So instead of going through like one of those old archaic payment terminals, find a solution that is cost-effective and can connect right into your smartphone. Finding a good point-of-sale solution. Also finding, I'd say, something that is low cost, low barriers of entry. Something that could be run on a tablet, an iPad is also of a benefit. And if you have an online presence and you're doing e-commerce, finding an e-commerce platform that also is really simple to use and allows you to be able to get your business online quickly and is able to help you, update your product catalog, update pricing, be able to service your clientele, so providing some form of CRM and ways for you to reach out to your customers who shop from you.
That's great. Those are really, really good recommendations. If you are on Twitter, again, you can ask our panel anything at all about technology today by using the hashtag StartupLive, and same on Facebook Live if you're watching us there. Do we have any other questions on Twitter by any chance? Here we go. What are the best ways to use technology to get your business known? That's a good one.
Social media, social selling. That, in my opinion, social media platforms and social selling, if done properly, give a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs the chance to create a top of mind brand, which is very important, and even to the next level, a brand that truly influences its users. And I think that the key to that is by leveraging social media. The one thing that's extremely important is to share valuable content consistently, day in and day out. And an example of a technology that someone could leverage in order to consistently share content day in and day out would be something like Hootsuite. But in my opinion, I would say social selling is the way to go.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's social all the way. I think if you layer something on like a viral type of guerrilla marketing campaign on top of that, and you kind of try to use gamification to amplify that, that's another way of getting your business out there and into the minds of the public. So definitely social is the channel, using very clever marketing tactics and techniques to create some viralness around your campaign. So doing stuff that is really unique and leveraging social as a way to get the word out there is really my advice to you.
That's amazing, thank you. We're getting close toward the end of our episode, so before we end our discussion for today, I would like our guests to kind of leave us with some remarks about technology trends and how to stay ahead in all technology trends.
Do you want me to start, or Nancy, do you want to go?
You can start.
Yeah. So I'd say like my final remarks is like really, if you're an entrepreneur and you're running a startup, you need to understand what your objective is, right? So if you're running a business and your primary objective is to, grow, gain more users, subscribers, scale up, your end game is maybe different from a business that's trying to be, cash flow positive day one, right? So the tools, the technologies you use in that case would be very different. And obviously, what you're trying to do is you're trying to, spend money to acquire customers and acquire a captive base to grow your valuation or the value of your business. And so the technology sets that are used for that are slightly different from a business where, I started up a business selling something, product or a service to a base of users. I need to make this profitable day one. So really, the end game at that point is to make money and to be able to capture revenue. And so in that instance, if you're in that type of business, being able to capture revenue or being able to collect money from your customers is truly important. And so thinking about that and putting on a payments lens on, so working with a payment partner to help you best with doing that, achieving your goals in a cost-effective way, in a secure way is extremely important. So my kind of overall advice would be kind of work back from your objectives, know what your milestones are, know what your objectives are, and work back. And then by working back, you kind of will be able to kind of derive what technologies you need to use and integrate into your business.
Yeah, so I guess my closing remarks, in addition to what Nicholas said, would be awareness. So like I mentioned before, Jeff Bezos, always says bet on the future. So, don't be the next, blockbuster that, should have identified, something to be Netflix, or don't be the next taxi industry that should have identified, something in order to be Uber. So I think what you have to do as an entrepreneur and a business owner is you have to get really good at predicting these trends, and you have to take it serious, because I think it truly matters to your business and to your clients. Everyone knows how Blockbuster ended, and everyone knows the impact that the taxi industry is having from Uber. But I think as technology increases, changes are going to happen, and they're going to happen at an even quicker pace. So you have to be open to to making changes, and you have to be open-minded, and you have to be ready to readjust and adapt as quickly as possible. That would be my closing remark.
That's great. Well, Nunzio and Nicholas, I thank you so much for all of your great advice for entrepreneurs and startups. I know I learned a lot, which was absolutely great. Really want to thank you for chatting with us today. Now, next Thursday is going to be very exciting as well. So May 18th, put in your calendars right now at May 18th at noon. We're talking about balancing personal and business expenses for beginners. So if you're just starting out, or if you need a refresher, this is a great one to attend. The hosts next week will be Paul Stevenson and Antoine Nguyen, with guest experts, one of my favorite ladies actually, Elaine Orr, and Bob Govro. So if you want to register for this event so you can get all the reminders, go ahead and do that at startupcan.ca/events. Again, that's startupcan.ca/events. Thank you so much.
And you can also stay informed with all the opportunities and the events happening by following Startup Canada on Twitter, and also liking them on Facebook and following them on Instagram. A new hashtag Startup Podcast drops every Tuesday on iTunes, and Startup Canada live here on Periscope, Facebook Live, and event stream every Thursday 12 to 1. To everyone joining us today, and the entrepreneurs, the startup community, and our listeners today, thank you for having us, thank you for watching, and have an enterprising week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
Bye, everyone.